The most difficult stuff seems to happen right before there's like a breakthrough. But there's definitely going to have to be a really difficult choice that's going to have to be made before things can work. So your overall, the Three of Swords, you are definitely dealing with heartbreak involving another person who has got some issues. And I don't know how else to put this. You come into this with the Nine of Pentacles. Now, for some of you, I look at that and I think, you're starting off single, first off, right? And with the Chariot, you could be talking about the other person being at a distance here, or somebody traveling to see you, them. But this is also about giving the relationship a sense of direction, and getting some self-control here. But they may be constantly like on the move. And for a lot of you, being involved with this person puts your independence into question, though. I kind of feel like that a little bit with the way that this is coming down. So, going back to the Nine of Pentacles, I also look at that, though, and I think that for a lot of you, it's, not really wanting to be on your own anymore. But that is definitely how you kind of come into this. It's like finding independence out of heartbreak, but then you're still kind of dealing with it. But it is about making something work with someone, for sure. Now, the King of Wands. It's typical for me when I use this deck to see him when we're talking about issues with somebody who does not follow through, doesn't pay attention to detail, but they're not trying to hide that, though. With the Ace of Swords, they're very open and honest and truthful about, who they are, or who they are as a person. But, that's, with the King of Wands, it's difficult because, first of all, we're talking about the attraction that's there, but you're also talking about somebody who has the potential to break your heart because they just, are free. They want to be all over the place, and with the Chariot kicking this off, that may be a huge indicator as to how their life may be. They may be constantly having to travel for work, or they're doing it for pleasure. And that's just how they are. That truth is there. It's like them telling you that they can't be tied down. Now, moving down, though, with the Four of Pentacles, that's fine for you because you don't want to let go of this. With the Four of Pentacles, there's at least some level of stability that has been found here that you don't want to change and you don't want to let go of. But there are definitely some unhealthy things involving this person, with the Devil being there. But again, this is going to be specifically for those of you who are going to be heartbroken by a person who is very upfront and honest with you about the things that they choose to do, whether they're healthy or not. They're not lying to you. They're not hiding it to you. If you're dealing with a person who's being sneaky and sketchy, then this one is not for you. This is specifically having to do with a person who is just wild and free. That's basically how they are. But they also understand that what they're doing is also not healthy, especially when it comes to you specifically, because you are being heartbroken over this, which in turn may cause them to feel at least some level of heartbreak. Now, coming out of this, though, with the Two of Cups, and again, you're holding on to this because there's, this connection, this relationship, right? But this could also be about getting them to see your perspective in this. That, yeah, you're fine on your own, but there is enough of an attraction there that you want to at least try at this relationship, regardless of the fact that the way that they act and the things that they do may cause this heartbreak. The Two of Swords is the very difficult choice here. The difficult choice for them would be to settle the fuck down. For you, it's the choice to continue to deal with this. But it all comes down to whether or not this relationship can work. Now, with the Three of Pentacles coming out, to me, this is an indicator that they're at least willing to try. But I don't like the Devil being, what's being made clear. And this kind of like all over the place type of thing here with the Chariot. But you, though, are like, I can't let go of this. Like, I can't let go of this, despite the fact that you know about the Devil. You know about the unhealthy things. For some of you, yeah, I mean, straight up, it's an unhealthy attraction, but they have not been untruthful at any point about any of that. I mean, that's just who they are. It's what they do. I worry about that a little bit, because if we're talking about secrets and you're looking at that with the Empress here, is there somebody else involved? But I'm not seeing it as main energy. But I look at this and think that there is not... I don't want to say that there's not clarity, but there's something that is being kept, though. But there is definitely a battle here about, whether or not this situation can work because of something that they know or that they understand. But it's having to do with their own issues, their own unhealthy attachments. But you, though, may already know that it has to do with another person. And it's funny because I usually don't feel that when the Emperor shows up. But let's just start from the beginning here. The Two of Cups with the Hermit. This is you kind of going back to this place where you're on your own, right? Like, I don't actually see a connection being made here, physical contact, so to speak. But the thing is with the Ace of Cups for you, in order for the situation to work, I mean, there's definitely the new beginning that's there. But for you, you're really needing to do some deep soul searching on whether or not that is the right choice to make. Seriously, right? But, despite that, though, there's very much a connection. But this person is like... not really seeing things from your perspective. Because I look at the Five of Wands and the Page of Pentacles, and I think there's definitely the internal struggle that's happening for them, and the miscommunication and misunderstanding. The whole point of the Two of Cups is seeing eye to eye, seeing things on the same page. Now with the Page of Pentacles, though, we're talking about starting over. I kind of look at this as like, let's start over. Hi, my name is... and trying to get things going here, but it being a lot of hard work, but you're looking at things from a realistic standpoint, but it's also you showing that it's going to be starting all over again with this person, but they're not understanding that, though, with the Five of Wands. Now, with the Empress, though, we're talking about, for you, in terms of the relationship, needing to be able to enjoy all of it, right? I mean, with the Empress, I look at that as enjoying the beauty and abundance that's around you, and love and all that beautiful shit. But with the High Priestess, that's where I'm kind of like, but I think that you already know. And that may be information that comes out later on, that there is, another person involved. There may be another person involved with children. Now, on the other hand, the reason why some of you may be hanging on to this relationship is because, there may be a pregnancy involved, which can be the case with the Empress showing up, but clearly that's not going to be for everybody. But that may be what they don't know, which kind of makes me wonder here, right? But you are very specifically dealing with somebody who, does a lot of shit. They've been out in the open with it. That's clear. You see that clearly because they've been upfront and truthful with you about it. But, you may not know everything. But with the High Priestess, it may be one of those things where they just didn't think it was necessary to say anything until you kind of move into this place where it's like, okay, that's fine. I don't want to let this relationship go, though. Wow, Libra. But what I don't like is the Three of Swords being the overall, because we are talking about somebody who is going to get hurt. There is going to be at least some level of heartbreak that's going to happen here. Yeah, how do I put this? I mean, unrequited love is definitely accurate for this. Now, first of all, the Eight of Cups and the Four of Pentacles, you're talking about somebody who's being a little bit pushy. And I think that somebody is trying, but they're just not feeling it. And I think that with the Sun and the King of Swords here, this is going to be about, an attraction somewhere else, an attraction to someone that is not giving you what you need. I look at the King of Swords and I think that there is detachment there. So it's just kind of like it's physical or, mental, right? It's not as great to them as it may be to you, or vice versa here. Now, coming out, you have the High Priestess with the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands, I look at that as somebody who is looking to release a burden by any means necessary, okay? Now, definitely with the High Priestess and the Ten of Wands, I mean, traditionally you could be looking at this and going, okay, so there is a secret that somebody is needing to unburden themselves of. And that may be that there just is not enough. There's not enough for somebody to, keep this relationship going. The Knight of Swords and then the Two of Swords. And I think that for you, you kind of get to a point where it's like, you know what, I can't accept this anymore. Or again, like I said, we could flip it. But with the Devil, you're dealing with somebody who is only concerned with, lust, getting what they can get. And it's like the connection just can't be made. Somebody definitely tries here, but that is not what they're interested in with the Devil being there. The only thing that they're interested in is having control and getting what they want with the Knight of Swords. Unfortunately, though, I look at the Sun and I think this, very specifically with this deck, is talking about a very happy relationship. A very happy relationship. That is how somebody is seeing this. The other person doesn't. They're all about control and getting what they want. And what they want is physically based and nothing else. Nothing else. And then coming out of this, it gets pushed to a point where any kind of an attempt to have contact is like, I don't know if I should be doing this, but I think that some of you may do it anyway. But, there is something that is definitely being kept, though, with the High Priestess. And that could very simply be you keeping to yourself that, there's not enough that you're getting from this person, or this person is keeping from you, that there just isn't enough for them. But they're more interested in getting what they can from you, them, right? I mean, we can flip the script on this, but wow, Libra, I mean, I look at that Two of Swords, and normally this would be the rejection of an offer. Like, wait a minute, no, I'm not going to accept this. But with the Ten of Wands, it's like it's done anyway. And then the Moon, all right, and that may be, what's affecting the relationship here. Now, looking at the Two of Cups with the Three of Pentacles, the Two of Cups would suggest that this is a very good relationship, that there is a good connection, there is an emotional connection here, it's good. But with the Three of Pentacles, there's a need for more warmth, more love, more understanding. And then you move into this place with the Nine of Pentacles where you're talking about somebody who is attached, for sure. In some cases, this can show obsession, but it's really about somebody who has an attachment to another person who doesn't really notice or care or want the relationship to be out in the open. And with Temperance, I look at that as, someone in the relationship here that is trying to build that kind of passion up, right? I mean, it is about, keeping your inner balance here, and somebody trying to use moderation, but more specifically, though, this is about building the passion within a relationship, not needing to rush things. But somebody is definitely trying here. It's like they're trying, like, look, I need more of this because the connection is important to me. The problem is that things go sour here. When you're looking at the Page of Pentacles, it is the souring of a relationship, overindulgence in things. And with the Moon, that may be where the addiction problem is coming through, with somebody who has fantasy issues. Because it's not good. It makes the relationship go bad. Yeah, this is about, this is going to have to do with those of you who are in a relationship with a person who is, constantly having encounters to satisfy a fantasy. That, or this is going to be you doing this. But I kind of get that for a lot of you, this is going to be you toward the other person, but the other person is the one that has the issues. And I think that you know this and you understand this. That Ace of Wands and the Two of Cups, I almost look at this as it was a quick relationship. It boom happened. There's this immediate connection. There's a bunch of passion. It's all brand new. You move into this place where somebody is very attached and trying to close the gap here and wanting more, needing more. And they're willing to, kind of be patient with all of this building up to where they want it to be. But like I said, things go in a bad direction. Things start to, people start to get bitter. Somebody is going to start to get bitter because of another person who is not being very realistic, living in fantasy, and then constantly, trying to have encounters with other people.